Hello everybody, this is Kathy McAlliister, Teawife Creations. I have the latest Sawdust Makery design. It's a little reindeer ornament, and one of the things that's kind of popular right now is mailing out the laser cut pieces in little flat kits like this. Flat pack kits, I guess you could say. And these pieces, they're in here with little tiny tabs. So all you have to do is push them through and they'll pop out. But this makes it just a little bit safer for all the pieces to ship. And hopefully you can figure out on the easy ones how to put them together. This is a pretty straightforward, easy one. I think some of the more elaborate ones, it's sometimes helpful to have them piled up so you can see how they go together. But this one is pretty straightforward. And anyway, so this is just an option for how to sell them or mail them. And one of the benefits of it is once you get it, on some of the smaller pieces, they're not moving around all over the place because you can leave them in here and do your sponging. So it also can help to protect the edges as well if you don't want paint around the edges. But it does make it easier for these little guys that they just want to move all over the place when you're painting them. So they're going to stay in place. Anyway, so these are some of the colors that I picked for the reindeer. That would be a shading color. That would be a highlight color. And these two are very similar to each other. It's honey brown. Oh, that's because they're both honey brown. Yeah, okay. So there is some variance, and one is raw sienna and the other is honey brown. So, you know, it's like, do you want a lighter one? Do you want a darker one? Slightly darker. That would still be your highlight. You could use this, and you could use this as the base and that as a highlight, and then that as a super highlight. So that's an option as well. That would give you depth because you'd be using 3 colors instead of 2, with these as dry brushed on or highlighted or color washes. So we might go with that. So raw sienna as the base, honey brown as a dry brush color, and fawn as the lightest color. For instance, it would go in here, that the forehead piece would be lighter. So that's what we're going to try doing. So I have my little sponge stick. You can use like a makeup sponge as well for something like this. Oops. Okay, so we're going with raw sienna as our base, and the horns are going to end up being horns, gee whiz. The antlers are going to end up being darker, but for now I probably am just going to do the whole thing. Even though this goes over here, I'm just going to do the whole thing in raw sienna. All this here. I'm going to do these and these, and I'm going to leave these blank for now. And of course this is supposed to be red, but you know, you got to have a red nose. So if you're using a sponge, you get a little bit more control on where you're applying the paint. And the sponge sometimes helps where you don't knock out the engraving. However, this is pretty light engraving there, and so we'll have to come back and put in some darker color to make that pop out, but you'll still see where it is. So I changed the settings on my laser cutter and the engraving is definitely lighter. I may have to look at darkening that up. But I think you still want to come back with paint in there. But I think I'd like it a little bit more deeply etched. Yeah, I was playing around with the settings on my X-Tool laser because they came out with new material settings. So I thought, well, let me use what they're recommending, and that's what happened with the engraving. It's just not as deeply etched as I normally like it. And even some of these score lines are not as deep as I usually do them. So I'll have to look at that. Because I like some of the score lines to show up. Get some more. And again, this is raw sienna. Okay. And then be sure to dry in between. You don't want to lift your color. If your color is still wet, the sponge will lift what you've already put down. So this is definitely pretty dark. I might have to try it in fawn. I'm sorry, not fawn, honey brown. Try another one in honey brown. Now I'm going to dry brush, but it still might be interesting to start it with honey brown and not have it quite so dark as this from the start. But we'll see. I'm gonna play around with it. So when you're sponging, you'll need 2 to 3 coats depending on your preference. Yeah, I don't like the engraving is just getting completely wiped out. Have to go to one of my older settings. But you see, having this in this pop-out piece, that you don't have everything jumping around on the art table while you're sponging, that everything stays in place. So not all of the patterns. She's Chris, who has Sawdust Makery, she's just starting to come out with these pieces, but I'm able to create them as well. It's pretty straightforward. There's a setting on my laser that allows it to have little tabs. So basically what's going on is, I don't know where they are in here, but there's little connecting tiny little tabs here where the line has not gone all the way through. The cut has not gone all the way through. So it's actually holding that in place there. And I have a setting on my laser that allows me to do that. So I'll probably play around with it and start mailing some of them out like this. So if you get one like this, hopefully you can figure out how to put it together. If you have any questions, you can just holler at me. So sometimes when you're using a sponge like this, you know, it may be uneven in places. It might be splotchy in certain places. So when it dries, you can see those areas that might need a little touch up. Okay. So I'm going to turn the sponge over, and I'm going to do this one in fawn. So it's going to be much lighter, jumping straight to fawn. So there you go, fawn. It's a very light color. So you have to be careful then when you're doing this that you're not getting it in the other areas that you were just working on. And by, you know, you can pull these pieces out. You don't have to leave them in here while you paint. Or if some of them are too close, you can move one out and leave the teeny ones in there, because it does make it a little bit easier to paint them, the smaller ones. So, not sure what. Anyway, and I'm just gonna. You can use a brush for this. I'm going to stipple a color in. Just got to figure out what red I want. So there's scarlet. Let's see. Watermelon slice. Cadmium red. Let's see what else there is that I like. Red Alert. So that's Red Alert. So this is what I do when I pick colors. I bring them over. I kind of know the color shades now, and I bring them over and I kind of look at them, and I look at the colors I've already chosen, and I go, yes, no. Like that's too orange. The scarlet's too orange. Okay, and this one is Watermelon Slice, kind of like the Red Alert, which makes sense, you know. Red Alert on her red nose sort of say, I'm coming, I've got Santa, I'm coming. Red Alert, Red Alert. Okay. So, like I said, you can kind of just brush this on, but sometimes I like when you do a dry brush and you get a stippled effect like that. So it's going to need more coats, of course. Yeah, this piece is pretty straightforward in regards to colors. There's not a lot of pieces and not a lot of different colors that you have to worry about bringing in. I keep catching this hoof every time I do that piece. So, and of course you're going to put a little string up here that you can decorate, and also you can do a bow with a little jingle bell. So this piece is going to go up here as a headpiece. The holly's going to go up at the top up here as a headpiece. Although I guess if you wanted it to make it more of a little, I don't know, you can move the holly wherever you want, but Chris originally had it up here as a headpiece. Okay, so we're going to need a much darker color for the little hooves, and so this piece is going. These two pieces are going to be covered up, and this will be covered up, and so for ease, we can do all the hooves the same color and even use the same color on the antlers unless we want to change it up a little bit. So I'm still seeing some areas are not as thoroughly covered, but we are going to be dry brushing over the top. So having, you know, not a completely opaque oneness is fine when you're dry brushing. Okay, I'm going to get a darker color out now for the hooves. I like espresso. Let's look at it compared to asphaltum and dark chocolate. Let me see. Lately I haven't been able to find my asphaltum and I've been using espresso because it's like, where did it go? It's hiding. Ah, here it is. Okay, so asphaltum just seems to have a little gray in it. This one is dark chocolate, and this one is burnt umber, and there you have espresso. So, so the asphaltum definitely is the darker. But like if you wanted to do the hooves and do some shading, then you have to have something darker to go to. So you can pick one of these two, but if you want it to be darker, I would go with either burnt umber or asphaltum. So I'm going to see what it looks like with the burnt umber. Okay, so that's what we're going to use on the hoofs. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the hooves in. Now, with the hooves, you could do a solid color, so you can just come in, paint it solid, or because you already have a base coat down, you can always do a bit of shading. Let's just see what it looks like. So this is the way I create stuff. It's sometimes I put things down and it may not work, or maybe it works beautifully and I like it, but if it doesn't, then I can, you know, paint over it. Okay, so if you do it more as a shade, and you just come in here, so of course it's more of a subtle look when you do that. Whereas if you get a round brush or a flat brush or even an angled brush and do it solidly, it's going to have a much different look. You have to wait for some of the areas to dry before you turn the brush, of course. So you see it's not necessarily completely standard shading or floating. It's kind of using the brush in such a way to create an effect. And just completely lost the cute little eyelashes. Interesting. And then to darken it up, you could come back with lamp black. I don't know, I don't think the asphaltum would be dark enough. There's traditional burnt umber, which is darker than this. So it depends on whether you want a darker edge to it. I'll look at it and see what I want to do. So I think on these I'm just going to come in with a round brush and paint it in. I just don't know if I want it solid or if I want it to be a quasi color wash. Let's see. So that's more of a color wash. So you can leave it like that, or you can dab it with a bristle brush. It just kind of helps to diffuse the color. It lifts a little bit of the color, but it's kind of helping to diffuse the color a little bit. You don't want to get like areas where you get water droplets. That's not the word I'm looking for. Watermarks. So this is, it's not too watery of a color wash, but it's not just straight opaque paint either. And it gives just a little different kind of subtle finish. And we definitely could have done that with the hooves as well, as opposed to, I kind of quasi did that with the angle brush, but I think I might like to come back with this color wash. Like I said, it's all a bit of an experiment. And even with the color wash, because I had already laid down the other kind of as a shade, that you're going to get some variance in coverage. So, which I kind of like. Yeah, I like that. Okay, I think I need some more Red Alert, since I did not base coat before I did the Red Alert. You kind of have to put a couple, like at least three coats probably to get this where you want it. Okay, so that looks pretty solid. So since we have the Red Alert out, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the fawn, which I have here. I'm just going to come in, put a little base coat down. I could even do that for the leaves, for the holly leaves. Just, I'm going to put a little bit of a wash of the fawn down. And that will make whatever color I put on top pop. And you know, these are all just suggestions that there's so many different ways to paint these things, but I know sometimes people they just want an idea of kind of where to start, and then, you know, they'll take it from there, but they just kind of want something that points them in the right direction, or a direction, not the right direction, but a direction. So So this ornament is easy enough that you can sit around the table with your grandkids or your kids and do these. So because they can do them really straightforward, really easy. They don't have to do any fancy things like dry brushing or shading unless they want to try it. So it just is it's an easy ornament to do. So and if you're trying to make ornaments for friends and family, or your grandkids or your children, this is a fairly fast paint. So I'm going to do some dry brushing before I do shading. So let me see here. We are going to move to the honey brown. And I have different kinds of brushes that I use. So I have a Josanya, I have Mezzalunas. These are softer than the Mezzalunas. And I even have this particular Dynasty 200. This is super soft, so it's going to impart a lot more of the paint. Let me see, I'm looking for, that's a better size. And then I have these from Lynn Andrews that are round. So you have some options on different kinds of dry brushes you can use. So that is the Mezzaluna. So, I really like the Josanya brushes a lot. I do like these too, but they get really wet. Okay, so I'm going to use the honey brown, and I need paper towels. So when you're dry brushing, you're using a lot of paper towels. So you're going to be covering that up, but you can kind of test it there. That's a good place to kind of test to see what it looks like. So you're covering that up as well. And you're covering up the head. I'm looking at this and thinking how I kind of wish I had started with honey brown and then done the fawn as a dry brush highlight. Which I could still do. I can still go back and do that. And you can really see the difference because I didn't base coat this with anything lighter. So that was a little wet. Yeah, I really like the honey brown for this dry brushing. It really helps to bring it to life. So you just kind of build the color, you build your layer. Yeah, still, I just think, like if you go lighter, it's just starting off too light. So I'm going to come back because I can. I think Tracy Moreau says that all the time. Because I can, I'm the boss of me. So I'm just going to do that. And you guys, you could start off, oops, we don't want fawn, we want honey brown. You can start off with it. You don't have to, you know, start off with fawn and then do a color wash on top of it. Or maybe you like the fawn. You know, maybe that's the color you want that piece to be, the forehead. So again, I don't want it to be a heavy opaque. So these are Lynn Andrews brushes that are designed for color washes. So I'm going to come in. I'm just going to do a color wash. And by doing it this way, it's going to look different than if I had just come in and done a base coat of honey brown. So doing layers of color washes to build your color is a very different way of, you know, layering. You know, you can dry brush, you can do color washes, you can, you know. There you go. It's so interesting because the honey brown here and the honey brown there, you know, they look very different. And you know, that's another option too. Like, you can do a color wash. You know, we did the dry brushing there, but you can come back in. For instance, if we try it on just on some of the hooves, just to see what it looks like. Just going to come in with a bit of honey brown color wash, just to see. Color washes are really easy, and they give you such an interesting dimensional, you know, color. Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. So it's still using the base of raw sienna. I believe that's what we started with. Raw sienna. I can't get these mixed up. Yeah, we started with raw sienna. And it's still plain on that, but it's doing something different now. So I'm going to continue with that. So whether or not, you know, you want a dry brush or not dry brush, or maybe we just do the color wash this part. So that's super saturated. I should have blotted some of the paint off on a paper towel off my brush, because that was just too saturated. So this is now a little darker. I don't know. That might be okay. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to do some more dry brushing on this and just see if I like the look of building color with the dry brush. Alright. I might need a bigger dry brush. That might be part of the issue. I'm using a pretty small one. But dry brushing does take time to build. Whereas the color wash, you see, you just lay it on there, call it done, it's finished, looks gorgeous. So they're slightly different looks. So these tutorial videos are really kind of more of a way for you to get ideas. So if I change my mind or I make a mistake, it just shows you, what you maybe should avoid or what you can try, or, take some of the stuff I did, and it just is giving you ideas without saying, oh, you must do it this way. So some of my video tutorials are more like, okay, try it this way. And others, this just gives you a chance to figure out what you want to do with the piece. Because after all, you've been doing this a while, and you know what you like. I kind of like that look where you have one look here and slightly different look there. So interesting. So I'm going to come back. I'm just going to add in a bit of more honey brown here with the dry brush. Okay. So now that I have kind of the base that was fawn, I'm going to now come back with more fawn over the top. I'm using the same brush that I was just using with the honey brown. And I want to concentrate on the center of the forehead and the center of the ears. Okay, very neat. Okay, so now we want a little bit more lighter color in certain areas of the deer. We're going to come back with some blush as well. So I'm using fawn. That's still wet. This isn't though. Kind of more in the center. Need to dry that. Okay. The other thing, when you layer up colors, however you're doing it, you will sometimes get texture, and the dry brushing picks up some little texture bits, which make it interesting. I'm not 100% loving this piece, but okay. So we do need some pink in the ears and pink on the cheeks. So I say pink, it doesn't have to be pink specifically. So we have cactus flower. I still feel like I need more red. It's like it's just soaked it in. Soaked it in. Definitely could base coat that. So I'm just, because I have it, I'm just going to use the same, my brush was too wet, same color, the red alert here on the berries. So a lot of times I do that because it helps to kind of coordinate the colors, so you're not having a whole bunch of different reds or a whole bunch of different greens or whatever. So you're bringing in the same tone, the same color. And then the other is so you don't have to have a lot of different colors for the project. And all these colors can be changed out, of course. It's just, I own every deco art color, or every Americana color, not every deco art, every Americana color. I own it, so I'm going to use it. Okay, so I need a green, and I need something as a blush. So let's see. Like I said, we have cactus flower. There's peaches and cream. And if we want it to go something a little pinker, let's see what we got here. There's strawberry, which is very pink, very in your face. Let's look at some of the lighter pinks that we have. I think there's the cactus flower. There's melon. There's even tea berry. Coral blush. Ooh, I kind of like coral blush. I wonder if the tea berry is too dark. It's kind of hard to tell. Let me turn that down. But I don't know. I almost want to try it because I do stuff like that. And then I do it and I'm like, oh no, that's not going to work. And then I'll have to find a lighter shade to go over it, which is fine. That is just fine. So, so I like, sometimes doing this, I like a round brush, whereas this one is not. I might try the round brush. Okay, so that's the tea berry. Okay, so it is pretty strong. It's also too wet. I don't know. It's kind of pretty. That is very pretty. Okay, so I feel like on the ears, I like the darker here because I've started with a darker base, but I kind of feel like on the ears, I like that, but I need to tone it down just a little bit. I really like it on there. I like the fact that you can see it. So, okay. So a lighter color would be like a melon. Or I could even, what I could do is take even a lighter color, because that's, it is still pretty light. Let me try it. So, whoops. I've got to put that on over there so I can write down these colors. So you can see it's definitely lighter. And you're using the same brush, the same dirty brush. But I'm going to try to wipe out a little bit more of the darker color, because I really want the lighter color to show through. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I like that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Okay. And you could, if you wanted, just a hint of the lighter color. So when you layer up colors, you're not erasing the color behind, you're just adding something to it. So don't think that, oh, I should have started with this and shouldn't have done that. No, it all builds. So okay. And we also, we need some of that. I'm going to go back to the darker tea berry. Well, let me try the lighter. So you need some on the nose to create a bit of shine, and you're concentrating more to the top of the nose, of course, where the light hits it. It's kind of cute. Everything's shaping up. Okay, so now I want to do some shading. I might go a little lighter in here. I don't know. I'll have to see. I'll have to put everything in place, I think. Okay, so I'm going to do some shading, and I guess, so this is burnt umber. I can get a little bit of black, or I can try, let me see if I get my traditional dark umber. Let's see. I'm in my paint shelves trying to find stuff. Okay, that's soft black. And graphite. Traditional burnt umber. And lamp black. Okay. So lamp black, traditional burnt umber, and soft black. So that's got a bit of, oh, I think that might be the one I want to try. I'm going to try the soft black. Okay, soft black. And I believe that soft black has just a touch of brown in it, if I remember. I could be wrong. So I'm going to use this on the hooves and the antlers, or as I said earlier, the horns, which clearly they are not. And the other thing about this, you can go outside the line, it doesn't matter. And when you shade, it really pulls things together, doesn't it? Just really does. I probably should be doing this live with you guys, but with all the construction I've had lately, I just didn't know if I kind of could pull this off doing it live. It's just been so stressful. It's been 3 to 4 weeks, I don't know. It's been since I returned from the convention in Chattanooga. That's how long the repairs and construction have been going on in my house. So I hope you don't mind the fact that this is recorded. Yeah, the shading just, whew, it really makes it. And the soft black was correct. Lamp black I think would be too strong. So the soft black just fit the warm tones. Oh yeah, it's coming together, folks. It's coming together. And this is such a fast paint. Okay. And I'm going to use the soft black to come in and do her eyelids. I just need to get a brush that will work okay. It's a Joe Sonia 0. So you have a bit of the engraving to follow. It's just a little harder to see than normal. And you could leave it thin like that. I'm following the engraving, which is a little thicker, but you could have the little bit of eyelash coming out being thin. However, since I already did the thick bit over here, I'm gonna have to also make this side thick. But I do kind of like it where it comes out and it might be a little bit thinner on the edges. Okay. I think I would have liked it slightly thinner. But I'm making mistakes and maybe not doing it perfect, so you can see the right way to do it from the get-go. Alright, so it's going to need a little bit of white in here. Okay, I'm going to do these. Where did that come from? Where did that come from? Okay. Trying to think what color holly I should use. Alright. Excuse me while I dig around in my color collection. I have leaf green. I want it to go super dark. I don't think I do. Forest green. I feel like I need to get a green that is in the warmer tones. So, let me see. Okay. So that is New Leaf. I like that. And that would be highlight. That's foliage green. And that's kind of really in your face Irish moss. Think no. This is very dark. That is leaf green. Although those are okay together. And then this one is Hauser light green. I kind of like that better than foliage green. See, if I were live, you could vote. You'd say, yeah, I want this one. No, I want that one. I'll take the both of them. Okay, I will start with leaf green. I think. Or maybe I'll start with the new leaf. Start with new leaf. And again, you can get outside the lines with this because you're going to be popping it out. I probably could have used a slightly smaller brush. And then you can shade and highlight your leaves any way you want. Come back in with a little bit more of the red alert. Oh, that's tea berry. There, red alert. Okay. Still see a couple of spots that I need more of the green. Okay. So I might come back on the hooves and do a bit more of the soft black. I don't know where I got all this soft black on my clothes and on my fingernails. I don't know what I did because it doesn't look like it came from there or there. I'll leave that. I kind of like those. Okay. So now for the body, we have the light cinnamon, which has a lot of red in it. The burnt umber, we already know that's pretty dark. I'm going to start shading with the light cinnamon, and then if I want it darker, I'll reinforce it with the burnt umber. or I could use espresso or something like that. So it's a pretty close shade to what we already have without it being really in your face brown. Okay, so the headpiece is going to go right along the top, so I just need to do the sides. That was a little heavy-handed. So you usually shade after dry brushing so that it doesn't look like the dry brushing is sitting on top of the shading. That's usually the way you do it, but I've been known to do it the other way. And then you can see if there's any areas that you still feel like you need more shading. Okay, so I need shading on this, and I'm going to just start with the honey brown, even though there's honey brown in this, that it washes and stuff honey brown. And then if it's not dark enough, which it doesn't look like it is, I can come back with something darker without it being too obtrusive. But I don't know, I mean, that's kind of a nice subtle look. It's kind of sweet. It's definitely not like in your face, oh my gosh, that's so darkly shaded, you know. Okay, so we had taken tea berry, and, oops, let me get over here. So that's a bit of tea berry and that's a bit of melon, because we need just a little bit of highlight on our berries. and I'm going to try the tea berry. Just a little something something. And you certainly could come in with like a shade color as well, but they're so tiny. And the red nose could use a bit of shading underneath if we want. So I'm going to get something a little darker. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit of primary red. Just for a hint of shading. Okay, just a little something there. Okay, so it leaves us coming in with a darker color on the holly. So this is leaf green. So however you want to do this, however you like shading your holly. I never know. Like some people do 1/2 of the leaf, some people do it up from the growth area by the berries. I don't know. You just got to do it however it makes you happy. Okay. And if you wanted to do something more dramatic, you could take something like an Irish moss, which has a bit of vibrancy, and use that as a highlight. Leaves are my least favorite thing to do. I really hate doing them. Okay, so now we can pop things out and see how they're looking. So you can see there was a little tab there holding that in place. Let me get this paint off my hands. Leaves. Okay. Alrighty. Got the little legs. Now if you want, if you have a little sander, if that little tab bothers you, you can just take it out with the sanding tool. Oops, gotta put the forehead in first. And the nose. There you go. So that was really fast and easy. So I think I did it probably, well, I think the colors are probably about the right shade. So it has to be finished up. Now, Chris, who painted hers, she put, what's the word? Paint, flicked on some paint. She flicked on paint. So, spackle, whatever the word is. Okay, so this, definitely we need white in certain areas. I don't want to have any boo-boos here, so I'm going to just move that out of the way. So we can put in some white accents. So you can get a script liner or one of Joe Sonia's liners. All right. So as always, one of my lines is better than the other line. So remember that we already did highlights at the top, so you want to make sure that you're white. See, this would have been easier still in the little mold. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I think these are the same. It doesn't matter which side they're on, I think. So okay, and these. You could do this with the stylus. You don't have to do it with a brush. And you could do 3 dots. You can do 1 dot. Who knows how you want to do that. Probably would have not done the dots on the nose, but hey ho, it's been done. Can't take it back. I don't know, I still feel like I need it there. Splatter. Gee whiz. I hate getting old. That's the word I was looking for, splatter. So you could do a splatter in fawn, you could do a splatter in white, or you could not do a splatter. I've had some very, very near disastrous splatter things that have happened, so I'm trying to remember where I have my splatter brush. I ended up with so much goop on my splatter brush once, and yeah. So, splatter with caution, I think, is the bottom line. I cannot find my splatter brush, so I'm going to finish this up. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would like this with three dots instead of 1. It just seems kind of insignificant having the 1. Let me get my stylus, or a stylus. I say my stylus like I only have 1. Yeah, I don't know how many I have actually, but of course when I need them, nope, can't find it. I was just using it yesterday. All right, I'm going to give it a more generous dot. And I will go ahead and do 3. Oh yeah. And if you want, you can add in dots here as well. Really anywhere you want to put them. You can go dot crazy. I guess that's about it. I mean, you could put some on its legs or anywhere you want. So I'm going to finish it up. I'm going to try to decide whether or not I'm going to splatter, and I will be putting on ribbons, and we shall see what it looks like in the end. Oops. That goes on there. Somewhere thereabouts. So there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. I hope you found it relaxing and enjoyable, and now you can go and make a gazillion of them to give to your family and friends. There you go. Alright, well, love you guys very much. This is Kathy McAlliister of Teawife Creations, www.teawife.com. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.